Awesome. Thank you, Christine. We can update you on stuff that everybody else already knows about. All right, so recording. Christine, can you take notes, please? Super duper. So just a real quick update on our workshops. The next one was scheduled for November 3rd. It's at APL. So the workshop will be on the 3rd and the 4th, and the public event will be on the 5th. We're finalizing the location of the public event, but we're looking at the possibility of having it at it's like a technical high school in DC or the DC area. Having an event there because there's students there that they're it's not a CubeSat, maybe it's, I don't know, it's something like that. They're going to be building some kind of spacecraft thing.
It's the GLEE program.
Yes, thank you, Margaret. That one.
They are mini CubeSats.
Okay, so mini CubeSats. Wait, they're part of that program, and so the idea would be to have them, invite them to be part of the event as well, and then inviting the local kids, middle school, elementary school, to come and then we would provide hands-on activities, and the high school students could talk about their project. So as a possibility, Kevy sent me the contact for a Boys and Girls Club person in the Baltimore area, so I've contacted them, asked them to share the announcement about the workshop, but also want to chat with them about if we don't do it at this high school, you know, just other where we might be able to have our event somewhere else. Trying to think. So it'll be myself, Lori, Ed, and Kenda will be facilitating the workshop. And Jeanette and Susan, will you both be there? Okay, and then Jeanette and Susan will be there.
And Alexandra.
I was going to say,
Right.
Alexandra.
Yes, Alexandra. Yes. So everything's looking pretty good for us so far. We just gotta get down to the nitty-gritty of the agenda. So, but moving forward, everything's looking good. Sandlin, you want to give us a little update on our workshop objectives / outcomes?
Yes, I will. Let me close the door. Sorry. So I got all the feedback we are going to get on the objectives, and so I've been synthesizing that into hopefully a nice document that I'll be sharing with the workshop group at our Tuesday meeting. And then after we all look at it together, it's been a little complex, as you can guess, trying to take on that feedback. But then I will make sure I send it out. So like Margaret, Lena, if you want to look at it, that would be fantastic. And basically, the reason that's important is that this is kind of the public facing piece of what we want to say, that what we want people to know and be able to do after they come to the workshop. And so it's kind of our philosophy of what people are going to do and come away with. And so I think it'll be really lovely. It'll be 1 page, so it should be a very quick read for you next week to take a look. But we want to make it, again, something that everyone's looked at and vetted, but then also is a public facing document that goes out to the world. So we would love to get your feedback on that as well. And it'll just be like, what are the things we hope our scientists and our informal educators walk away with from these? And it will drive kind of what happens inside the workshop. So I just wanted to let you know that is coming in just days.
Great. Thank you, Sam. And this is jump to the engagement strategy document. Where are we with that?
So on that, so again, just to remind people, we have this engagement strategy that has a little bit of background from a literature review that was done by a student at NAU, along with strategies from lots of people, lots of them coming from Christine. And so we've revised it twice. These again are strategies that we hope will model. And so once the objectives document is finalized, kind of Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, we'll be pruning down the strategies document. So right now it's a 5-page document, which is way too much for the folks in the workshop. And so we'll be pruning it down to help really think about strategies that we want to endorse in essence. There are many strategies we can have, but the strategies we want to focus on, and then really thinking about how that aligns to what's going to get modeled in the workshop, right? So there's kind of macro strategies, things we might do in the community, and then what we really want to focus on are what I might call micro strategies. What are the things we do in the moment, as far as things that we know might be effective, but would love feedback. Those will hopefully be a little bit more manageable. So let's just say, Andy, we'll do both of those, sending them out to everyone next week, and kind of hopefully, again, a pretty quick read on that.
When you have these workshops, do you have an educator that does the activities, the hands-on engagement, or do you have the planetary scientist?
Both,
Conduct them.
actually. So we have sometimes like Christine or I will do them, or Andy, and sometimes Kenda or Ed. So it's actually a mixture, having both folks do it.
So right now, Selena and I have been following up with all the Boys and Girls Club that did the camps last summer to ask them if they would be willing to do something for a spring break camp. And do they want different activities, the same activities? Which ones were the most popular? We've only got a handful of responses so far, but we are also asking them, would they like a planetary scientist to zoom in and either talk to the students about their careers, or to, if there's an interest in that, or to have them do, engage the students in an activity, but do it virtually. Or, if we had someone available locally, then we could certainly have them go out as well. So we're working on that currently, and I'll let you know how it progresses.
And Margaret, for the community event that follows the workshop, we found that it works best when we are able to pair a planetary scientist and an informal educator. They've both given us feedback saying that it's great to have the planetary scientists there to answer any questions that kids have that the educator might not know, but it's great to have the educator there to know how to make the information accessible to the kids.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for that update, Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on Boys and Girls front that you want to bring up or ask?
We should make sure that Margaret and Selena know the Boys and Girls Clubs that participated in the Houston workshop. We had two. One was the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club in Pasadena. That's where we held the event, and our primary contact there, we just met with her yesterday again. Andy, remind me of her name.
Patricia Saunders.
Yeah, Patricia Saunders. I don't know if she's on your list. She works with a number of the Salvation Boys and Girls Clubs throughout the area, specifically throughout the Houston area, and corresponds with ones throughout Texas. And then we also had another one from further north. What was her name?
Heather Lopez from Sherman.
And she herself, her boss signed her up for it. So yeah.
We do have Patricia, but we don't have Heather.
Okay.
So
You might have Heather's boss. Let me see if I can find that and get that for you. But yeah, for you to be aware that we did have two who participated in the workshop.
We have found that most of the staff members that did the actual engagement were nominated by their group lead, or whatever, whoever the manager is for the site.
Well, luckily she was very involved, so she sure didn't act like she was upset that she'd been
Right.
been.
Well, and I don't think any of the ones that we have been in direct contact with felt that either. I think they were all excited to get the materials. We haven't had any negative comments. So all of that's good news.
Yes.
Is Brian Partee on your list? Brian Partee from the Boys and Girls Club of Sherman.
It doesn't sound familiar, but I'll look and check.
Okay. He's the president for their club, and he recommended that Heather attend. And yeah, he got the information, I'm guessing, from Kevy. And
No, we don't have him in there. So if you want to send that contact.
okay, I'll send you both his contact and also Heather's.
Okay, great. So Jeanette, this isn't on the agenda. I didn't know how long they were going to take, but anyway. So we have an AE, so Jeanette submitted a proposal, whatever, for an American Evaluation Association conference session that was accepted. So November 10th, right? November 10th. That Thursday afternoon, will be a session, and Jeanette, myself, Sandlin, and Susan will be part of that. The deadline for someone to sign up or register or whatever to be part of it was a week or two ago, so that's fine. November is a crazy month. Wow, even for me. So, yeah. So, Jeanette, anything in general from the evaluation front you want to bring up, or any requests, any questions?
I feel like we're getting closer on, as we do these pilots on the useful instruments to give feedback. And again, we keep finding that the focus groups are like the best feedback that we get. So we're continuing to encourage folks to build that into each of the, as we still playing with the length of the workshop, we want to make sure that we always do the focus group piece. We also do some kind of, we are working on survey questions, but it'll be better when we have the clear agreed upon objectives and outcomes so that we know what we should be asking them about. So we continue to tweak those things. No, I think it's been really helpful to be on the ground and see these and be part of the planning so that we know what your guys' thinking is going in. And pretty soon it will be streamlined and run itself. One of the questions that we've been toying with, not for APL clearly, but down the road, in Phoenix, Sandlin did the debrief after the event. That's also very useful in terms of gathering information about, okay, we prepared you to do this event and then you did it. How was the preparation, right? So the question is, does that eventually want to be taken over by the ReaCH team, the facilitators who are there? Do they want to do the debrief, or is it still helpful to have that third party person do it? So file that one away for thinking about.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'd rather have the third party person there. But yeah, okay, yeah, well, yeah, of course, like you said, that's down the road, so we'll keep that in mind. Wait, any questions for Jeanette?
And just to flesh out what Andy was saying, our presentation at AEA, which is hopefully going to have a nice sized audience, is going to be on how do you evaluate diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, right? How do you look for it in these workshops? So we've been really working hard on coming up with what are the indicators and what's the definition for the Planetary ReaCH project. So it'll be great to present the framework that we have in November to a bunch of folks who do a lot of evaluation and get their feedback and insights. So hopefully when we meet after that, we'll have some good sharing.
And so that actually is a segue for something else I want to bring up. We don't have to go into any major discussion on this right now. Just something that's been in my head, and I need to get it out because maybe it's not something we really need to worry about. So there's this idea that we are creating a model of basic professional development. What we currently have as a visual representation for that, we're calling a proto model. And it's basically this graphic that's in a Google Sheets document. And it's just a way of taking, what we're doing. There's the, planning a workshop. There is the implementing the workshop. And then there's the event itself. And there's a fourth area. We've kind of broken down to 4 areas. And we're looking at what are those actionable things that we do for each of those areas as aligned with DEIA. And so that's where we are with this right now. We need to go back and start fleshing it out a little more now that we've done a couple of these workshops. I have never created a model or have been in a position to contribute to the development of a model. So does anybody have that kind of experience? And I apologize if like half of you do, because I just wanted to make sure at least what we're doing to start with is okay, or do we need to consider something else, even from the very beginning, before we run into some real hurdles later on that we could have avoided? Or does anybody have any recommendations? Maybe somebody we could talk to about this kind of thing.
I think that each of us has actually, in a different way, created models, Andy, without really thinking about it when we iterate on things on our programs. So we have models for how we do family events here, and models for how we do adult lectures, and models for how we do workshops, teacher workshops, which and Margaret and Selena have models for how they do teacher workshops, and Lori and Joelle have models on how they do workshops. So I think, and each time we do it, right, we think about how we did it last time and how we might want to improve on it. But the thing that's different about this to me is it's not just sort of looking at the audience and how we're improving the workshop delivery itself, because the model encompasses broader considerations beyond, okay, we're doing this workshop to meet the needs of these 15 to 30 people that are attending. Instead, it's, okay, how are we incorporating DEIA principles into our planning for it, and who we invite to it, and how we arrange it, and where we locate it, and how we incorporate them in the workshops so that they're helping to, they're holding many of the discussions themselves instead of us leading the discussions. All of that is different from anything else we've done because of that. That's what makes it a different model. And something that, yeah, I haven't wrapped, we're getting our brains wrapped around it, but it's something new to me too.
It's the same, I feel the same thing, that it's like a learning curve. I can use these same activities with any youth group that I present to. What is the difference between me doing those things and training the Boys and Girls Club staff and them engaging their youth? So that is the difference in the model. And so it really encompasses not just the activity, but the training and the investigation and the rapport that you have, not only with the audience, but also with the trainer, in my regard, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, absolutely does, yes.
And instead of our traditional teacher workshops or our programs, our public programs, a huge amount of the time, I'd say 2/3 to 3/4 of the time, isn't about the activities themselves. It's about building together an understanding of some of these strategies and how to incorporate the strategies and which activities we do and how we approach strategies and how we talk to people and all of that. That is, and in the process, increasing our own understanding of these DEI principles together, building that understanding together is again, something just really different.
Okay. Super. Then I'm less worried. Well, not that I was worried, just I guess one less thing to worry to think about all the time. Okay, great. So we'll just I put a link to what we currently have. Hopefully it goes actually to the tab that I wanted it to and not just the general file. But anyway, there's a link there in the chat box to what we have. Just so you can go take a look at it and see where we are. There's a lot of empty spaces, things we need to fill in. This was something I started back in June, so it's very old and new at the same time. So anyway, okay. Well, that's really all I have to chat about today. Unless anybody else has anything they want to bring up.
I think the only thing that would be good for all of us to keep an eye on, Andy, is kind of like we're doing the pilots, but just to keep in mind like that there really are lots of workshops next year, and just for all of us to be aware of that. So if you could remind us of our commitments globally, I think that's always never too early in September to be thinking about what our 2023 commitment is, would be fantastic.
Yeah, we can do it. In fact, just for this next workshop, actually, I wanted to chat with folks who are involved just to kind of solidify those things a little bit.
But am I correct? It's 6 in 2023.
Right.
Yeah.
6 workshops.
So
60 next year.
Margaret and Selena, we know you're not actually, currently participating in those workshops. If at any point you would like to do more with them, I know you probably don't have time, but if at any point you want to attend any, let us know. We've increased Sandlin's role, so that way, Sandlin, I think you're going to be helping with 2 of those. Is that right?
Yep, 2. Yep.
Kenda's percentage goes up from this year to next year a little bit to allow her to participate in at least 2. The idea is that Kenda, Alexandra, Ed will hopefully each help with like 2. Andy and I, at least 2 each. Lori, at least 2 each. There was funding not just for Lori, but for Joelle as well, but Joelle won't be doing as many as Lori. So, so the goal right now is for each of those workshops, instead of just having, initially we were thinking 1 educator and 1 scientist helping to facilitate each of those workshops. We've discovered that there's really a lot to be done, and it's probably better if there's 2 of our educator people and 1 scientist at each one. So 6 workshops. Alexandra hopefully will be at 1 or 2, Kenda, Ed, Amy. So we've got 4 scientists spread out among 6 workshops, and then Andy, Lori, Stanlin, me, and Joelle, 5 of educators spread out among 6 workshops. But 2 of us at each one.
And also maybe Amy could jump in on a few too eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I left her out. The idea is between, Amy and all of the other scientists. We should be covered for the scientists, having at least 1 scientist at each one. It's just that our education team, a lot of us will be doing more than 1, which is fine. But hopefully none of us are going to be doing like 6.
No. Yeah. Okay, great. And one more thing. So we're doing a workshop at DPS it's right before DPS on October 2nd. Christine and I are leading one. So it's not going to be a full-blown workshop. It's a workshop. That's what they call it at DPS. But it's only 3 hours. So we're going to be meeting tomorrow morning to talk about what that could look like. Because we knew that anything that we might do in conjunction with a conference was going to be shorter. So this is our first opportunity to do something like that and figure out what this could look like.
And I can't be on that meeting, unfortunately, because I'll be at the DPS meeting, but I shared my thoughts with Andy, but to me, it seems like it would be really neat if they could do something, some activity related to ETEIA that they can walk away and go, oh, I have a little more understanding. I have a tool that entices them to want to come to our 2-day workshop, right? We want them to like we want to use our best thing so that in those couple hours they go, that was really neat. I learned something. I feel more empowered to do something with these audiences. And now I really am in. I'm going to go to the next workshop. So
Yes.
tall order, I know, but that's
I think that's the struggle for everyone. Is how do you come up with a hands-on activity that supports their background and knowledge and at the same time incorporates the DEIA principles. So tall order.
Well, we'll take a stab at it. If it gets shot down, we'll have another chance sometime else.
I mean, is there something I'm trying to think like, well, I mean, you guys will think through it too, but I mean, the nice thing is we have budget. So if there's something we want to be able to send home with them, so they have something in their hands that they can use, and I think that might be enticing. I don't know. Like if we want to make Mars match cards for everybody or something, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about like the value and we want to make sure that they feel obviously like it was a good use of their time. Andy, what's our registration on that one right now? Do you know?
I actually need to see if I can get an update.
Okay.
Well, last one I got a few weeks ago was, well, the first one I got, I think it was like 16 people.
Okay. Yeah, and I know Susanna, she said that the regular registration was yesterday, like that people really should be registered by yesterday. And so we should have some updated numbers, which would be great.
Yeah, I'll send them an email.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. Any questions or anything, just let me know.
Thanks.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.